start the show. Hey, Steve, Andy, how's your Tuesday?
Good. We're going to start the show. Got a really big show for all you people over 50. Get that reference? Because the youngsters don't get that reference. Hello, everybody. Yes, welcome to the Trade of the Week webinar again. Got some good stuff to talk about. Plenty to talk about, so we'll just get right into it here. Just a reminder
Before saying hello to me?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Threw myself
The
off.
only reason I interrupt you, interrupted you because I wanted to know that reference. I know that I heard it, but what's it from?
It's from the Ed Sullivan Show.
Ah,
got a really big show for you tonight.
Thank you. Yes, that goes way back.
Yeah. Threw myself off. Sorry for not introducing you. Yes. Hello, everybody. Yes, Mike C's got it. Lawrence Welk is 1 and 2, and Ed Sullivan is a really big show. All right. So welcome to the Trade of the Week. As I see the attendance filing in, people know that Andy and I are employees of Trade Ideas, but we're also traders of our own account, and anything you hear or see today is really just don't have the proper credentials to give out that financial advice. That's right, David. It's pronounced shoe. Yeah, really big shoe. 17 years of using Trade Ideas, myself and Andy combined together, 34 years combined, and we recognize a new user coming to this platform. It's probably a bit wide-eyed and a bit overwhelmed at times, and we recognize that. It's a lot going on. It's a very in-depth program, a lot of rich features. We do our best to try and get people going with the onboarding videos and Trade Ideas University, things like that, but really the best place to learn is you just pull up a chair either in Barry's room, the free Trade Ideas live trading room every day, Monday through Friday. And as a twist, he takes a break at the noon hour Eastern, and one of the 5 of us, myself, Andy, Jamie, Sean, Michael, Andy come, and you said Andy twice. See, you got me all worried about you now. We come in and take the noon hour and do a live stream. It's a great place to learn and to come in because you can ask questions, because the phone doesn't really do any good unless you're trying to work on a credit card issue or upgrade, downgrade with accounting. But for support and working through these alerts and helping with configuration and things like that, our live stream is the best place to come. We got live chat window so we can get you going quickly. 5 days a week, we're there, so come by. Help shorten the learning curve. That's the whole point here. And if you don't know how to get to the live stream, that is the link on the bottom. It's basically our website with a /live, and that will redirect you to the YouTube page. And once, I'll tell you what, YouTube's pretty smart. Once they know you've watched that a few times, all you have to do is click the refresh on the YouTube home screen, and it'll be popped up as a suggested reminder that you can just pop right in at the noon East Coast hour. All right, so all those aside, disclaimers aside, that is, the reminder, the man and machine combined, no man is better than a machine, and no machine is better than a human, man and woman combined with a machine. What that really means is the machine is not going to do a better job than you can, and you can't do a better job than the machine can. So you might as well work together. Our machine, the AI, and our curated technology as it is, is custom designed to give you what you want to see and filter through the noise. Like our #1 new fan, Sharmila, said on Fox Business News last Thursday with Charles Payne, Trade Ideas helps her cut through the noise. She was a bit coached for that, but she's a great user, and that's exactly what it does. Trade Ideas cuts through the noise, and so cutting through the noise gives us a better curated list of ideas for us, the human, to discretionarily trade and make decisions from there. So just a quick reminder. All right, so September 22nd, just moving right through summer, and now we're into fall pretty much. Market recap. We'll talk a few things definitely going on of interest in the backdrop. I don't even know if I need to turn it over to Andy today. It was just 3 trades. We can probably just do it from my desktop. Just a couple of things to point out. The Trade of the Week, a lot to talk about on the Trade of the Week APT, so we'll discuss that, and that is the namesake of our webinar. This week, for some new content or old content, it's probably new for some, I'm going to revisit the chapter that I wrote in our swing trading book. Some of you maybe have seen it. I'm sure Mike C. and David Schultz have seen it, but some of you may have not. So I'm going to kind of go through and give you the director's cut. I just came up with that, of what I was talking about. The Cliff Notes is probably a better better analogy. And then we'll take that knowledge and we'll go through the A table and set some alerts, look at the sectors, and weeding the garden. We'll finish off by looking at my portfolio and what I've done in my swing account the last week, some changes, some press changes and rearranges, and we'll, I think it's always good to, it's always educational, I think, to take a look at that. All right, so let's bring up trade ideas, and we'll start off with the broader market. I know some of you always thought we talked about this 20 back. It did exactly this point. It made a lot of sense when we look at that. We saw some resistance back here, some resistance. Tomorrow, I think it's a foregone conclusion, our range, and it was a test. Are we going to roll over? Is for us to fight Lee. And quite a defined deck, led the charge, Lee closed below, and then the S&P followed the following day. Both of those needs of the 50, which was once support. Is it going to act as current resistance? And short sellers start to salivate. Seasoned short sellers do not come in and start shorting new lows down here. They wait for low. We need to post a close. We'll see what happens. Shelf, the 50, okay? The elf.
Okay, I got you.
Got goofing around here?
No, I will agree with you. If you see put a level depth over that, they're
ahead of us. The Qs have found their way back into the pocket. Ominous little armpit here. We'll call it an armpit. Yeah, a hairy arm.
I'm not surprised with NEO because we are getting, we're not in earnings seasons anymore. Not seeing a whole lot. I'm surprised we're not seeing more shorts early sometimes, but we do have more long strategies versus shorts because most of the time we are in a bull market. So, but anyway.
Management of the trade or the exit of the trade. That's where they served up to this and use the 10-period moving average as the, we can do, but let's take a look at how we could have used ETR and the AI together, human and machine together. Any second now here, any moment my machine wants to unlock. There we go. Okay. So here's our entry, here's our serve. Closes below, not the 3 trades today that Holly gave us. And if we use these discretion, you guys can start looking at 10 SMA and watching some development version. Everything was just goofy. So I said, you know what, Dan, I'm not going to damn link. So I'm going to do the same thing. If anybody wants this link, cloud code, and you can just share this chart, and trust me, we're going to do a lot of lineup. Revenue growth, and we see our been beaten up. So expecting for a couple months is the couple of secret sauces. The position in a 3-month range. This pretty much tells us that we're at the lower 30 percentile below a 3-month range. Quarterly revenue growth, all we need, and when the correction holding up pretty well for the last 3 days, he's had some pretty good relevance. The bad news is these stocks on this revenue growth scan, phishing scan, are going to be ideally turning back up and having relative strength because they've already had their correction. That's really where I'm going with this. These stocks have had their correction. All right, so when we look at the other high flyers, when the market does correct, those fall fast. So for the last few weeks, play Children's Placing Clue. By the way, I'm just going to mark that down because that's starting to look like it wants to set up again, doesn't it, Andy?
It does. As a matter of fact,
sure
I put a price alert in there today.
You guys remember I said I was a total chicken and I got out back here and Andy got out back here and we were going to kind of wait for setup 2.0 and see if we can get it, and we're starting to get it here. So back to the trade of the week, APT. A couple interesting thoughts here. That's a beautiful chart. I think some of you have been around my webinars before. You've heard me create another term called a bird in the hand. I love the bird in the hand setup. When stocks have based, popped up, and then are skidding above their 10 and 20 moving average, and they won't go back below it, and that moving average is curling up. So like you're holding something in your palm and the bird's ready to take flight. Well, today the bird took flight in APT. And even better, yesterday it did exactly what we talked about, that stupid little counter move head fake to try and pop everybody out. This is why we like to wait until the end of the day and see how candles closed. But remember, our trigger is that faint line right there. For the most part, it didn't trigger yesterday. We got a trigger today. Let's take a look at this. We got a couple things of interest today. Right on the open, let's play the time machine game. Right on the open, we got what I like to call a possible horseshoe here. We got the gap up, an attempt to fill the gap down here, and then no gap fill. The buyers jumped in, and here we go. Look at that. Now, when you see something like that, that's actually a pretty powerful intraday pattern, the gap up, the failure to fill, and the move higher. And look at these volume. I don't have a volume reading, but the volume was starting to really kick in. you could have taken this trade here.
You could have.
Probably you could have.
As a
Okay.
matter of fact, I was doing a one-on-one in real time, and obviously I could not get over and do my trades. But anyway, I said, man, that's a beautiful horseshoe pattern right there.
Sure is.
Yeah.
Okay. For those of you who are on the ball and not working for support, like for trade ideas, like I was right here, involved in a live chat for somebody, I couldn't get in either. And I looked over and I said, "Are you kidding me? I just missed this." Okay. All right, so here's what I've been doing a lot of lately. You guys know I don't like to chase things up here, because why? Look at all the in the current. You're just asking for an intraday pullback. You're gonna get, all right, I'll get my price. Oh, don't worry about it, I'll get my price. And put in a limit order at 15. Why 15? Well, that was our trigger point, and our trigger point was literally based off of a technical spot right there, pretty much 15 right there. And so sometimes the price returns to the scene of the crime, right? We talked about a pivot. What was once resistance can pull back and test that to become support. I said, well, I missed the run up. I missed the actual trigger because I was doing something else, and this kind of thing happens all the time. Screw it, I'll just put a bid in there. So I'm gonna, as you know, sometimes I always mirror. I've been trying to mirror my trades lately over here in this B plus, so that I can do the same examples and show you. So I'm gonna click on that, and there we go. Look at that. This is when I said, I'm not chasing up here at 15.75. I think this thing's going to pull back to 15, and I'm going to add a nickel cushion just because I don't want to miss out and trying for the want of a penny. So there was my beautiful buy. I'm pretty proud of that buy. And the best part about it is I had to turn away, and I'm doing an email. And when I do these, I will plug in the B plus limit order, so it gets mirrored in my portfolio here. And I also put in a price alert. So price alert went off, I got my fill. So the point chase these things in the moment. It wasn't a pullback, perfect pullback to the moving average, that's for sure, but I used the pivot level of 15. So we got a second chance. You don't always get a second chance, but I'm lucky I did, and I took it. And so there were three options that you could have taken: the momentum anticipating trade, the actual trigger on the way up, and then the pullback and retest. So we had three options to get in. So let's look at one more thing I really wanted to show you guys today. Okay, here, this is the moment I said, I'm not buying it here. This is a screenshot from earlier today. But what did I like? When this thing triggered and I finally realized it triggered, man, we had great relative volume. This is good for an hour and a half into the day. And boy, did we have good 5-minute volume and 1-minute volume. Everything was screaming green light here. And so I said, boy, I really hope I can get that pulled back, at that 15 level. This is actually the 15 break, and I didn't have time to buy it. I just screenshot it. And so it pulled back, as we know, later to that 15 level. So the reason I brought this up, guys, is when these triggers go off, the first thing I'm looking at is what's the relative volume, what is the 5 and 1-minute volume, and we got wonderful confirmation today. That's why I wanted to make sure I got in this thing. So there is the entry. We'll call it moving day. Today was moving day, without a doubt. A beautiful green candle. It didn't close exactly on highs, but I think we're going to have a little follow through tomorrow, and this is how I'm going to play it. Let's play again. What does this stock pay attention to? Day 1 and day 2, the 50-day moving average was resistance. I think the 50-day moving average is within a day or two, maybe tomorrow or the next day, and that's where I'm going to sell half. All right.
Oh, that'd be a big move tomorrow, but
it'd be a big move tomorrow. But Andy and I know as well as anybody, the day and a half move can happen. You just never know. If it happens early in the day, I'll take it. It might take 2 days. It might take a day and a half, some consolidation, and it might not happen until next week, if at all. But that's where I'm looking for my initial, take half off mentality here. So I don't want to screw up a perfect entry. Okay, so that was that. And again, I just didn't want to be remiss if we didn't talk about children's plates. This thing is really winding up nicely. I'm not quite sure how I would play it. If it comes back and touches, here's what I'd probably do. This is going to get erased later, but I'd probably put something in like that and try and anticipate this thing. I want this thing to come back and touch the 10-day moving average to almost reset. Let's reset this whole thing in terms of algorithms and quant funds. They like to hit their targets so they can reset their algos. All right, got a lot to talk about. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to shift over to this A table scan, but first we're going to remind you all that the A table scan is part of the swing trade book, which is right here. All right, and Andy's free to go ahead and, if he wants to, drop the link of the swing trading link into the chat, go ahead, because this is the PDF version. You'd have to go to the link first and give the email, and they'll send you the PDF version. So the A table, I did this chapter. The concept, the concept, remember, is looking for stocks that are strong stocks, but also have a very high short float. All right, let's take a look at that for a second. GameStop had earnings today. Well, they've got a very high short float apparently, and this thing's been going off the chart. There's another one in there that didn't make the cut today. I don't know if Luis from Bogota, Colombia is in here today. I did a one-on-one with him yesterday. This is it, SFIX, and we talked about the short squeeze. SFIX, for whatever reason, it's not on the A table. It's got earnings, and it just got down blasted because of earnings. That's why our score, it's after hours. But he's a day trader, and he didn't want to take things home overnight. I said, you need to watch SFIX. I showed him how to set a price alert. This thing had a big short component, and the shorts got squeezed into earnings. And if you're hopefully on the ball, you would notice that red flag telling you be careful, earnings are coming in. So the idea is to look for short squeezes. Okay, again, we're going to go through the cliff notes here, talking about the short sellers and why the short float gives us an idea of how many traders and investors aren't paying attention to the fact that they're missing something, because we have a high score stock on this filter. Score is above 80 or 85. These are B+ students in the college world, and we've given them a score to look good on the daily chart. So there are a few plays in which we can do this. When Andy mentioned earlier, when earnings seasons come out, a couple of examples was ENPH. So we'll start looking at charts here. And again, this is the 10-period move that never comes back to fill. And then it's sideways, and then that moving average starts to push the price higher. The real entry and the real play on these is this day right here. The day when it's moving sideways and comes into that moving average. That is a that is a low risk entry. If you're wrong and the candle closes below the next day, you didn't chase this setup. It's a kind of a nice low risk, high reward entry, okay? That one had, big short float, 23% in that particular case. Here's another one, another pro, okay? Big earnings gap up, sideways, never touched. And there's that day where it touched but didn't close below, reversed back up. That's probably your entry day right there. That's the way you want to look at that type of setup. All right, so, and again, this chapter here is again talking about how we're using the simple moving average as our buy point. Again, I found another example in our chart. I don't know how these stocks look today. It's been a while, but it's not important because these are the jump rope that we're trying to time for a nice 2 or 3 day swing if we can get it. So gap up on this PI, sideways is the best. Comes right into that moving average and then doesn't like it at all, pushes it higher. That's our entry, pretty much using that. A link that takes you to a trade ideas link.
What I did see in the chat window, I dropped an eBooks link. Unfortunately, it's not hyperlinked. I'm not sure. You'll have to copy and paste that into, and that takes you to our eBooks page.
I know why. It's because you have a dot in front of the HTTPS. You don't have a space in there. I'm no programmer, but at least I'm good at figuring out how to get databases to like me. Thanks for letting us know that, Ron. It's all right. So there you go. That looks better. Thank you. So again, a third example visually here, and this is what I want you guys to do is imprint on this. We're going to go through today's chart and see what's in there today, hopefully. So sideways action after a nice earnings week. Boom, there's our entry. And again, if the candle closes below, hopefully it's a quick out and not too much pain if it doesn't work. All right, so I'm talking more about the 10-day moving average, the sideways breakout. So here's another way. Sometimes we have to be a little bit more creative. Well, this is a giant, long, protracted, tight range, if you will. And when stocks break out of these tight ranges, they tend to have some follow through. And so this would be another type of stock chart that I will look at. And if we see something like this coming up here in a few minutes, we're going to mark it up and using that as the entry. Okay, a little bit different. A flag breakout. We might see some of these today, and this is kind of what that children's place is trying to do for the most part, but you can see price will start to wedge itself into a pie shape, and if we can get a resolution, again, the closing price is the key. If we can get a resolution, a resolved closing price outside of that wedge, preferably in the same direction coming into it, because that's the path of least resistance, that would become our entry. And these are all setups that we're going to find on here. This is no one setup fits all. And the reason I'm going through this is because we kind of have to find the different looks and see what might catch our eye. Risk management, I say this all the time. It's what I mentioned earlier today when I bought APT. Do not chase the entry. And that works on the daily time frame, and it also worked for me today on the 15-minute time frame. Wait for your pitch, get your shot. It's probably going to come to you, all right? That would be the second one. So yeah, I think that was pretty much it for mine. Just, risk management, use the closing price of that 10-period moving average, and as long as it stays above there, you're good to go. And I'll share the cloud link in a minute because we're going to go through and look. So just to reiterate, this scan is looking for stocks that have a high score. All right, the score filter, 80. Stock composite, it's taking about 10 different technical indicators. Is it above? It's 10, it's 20, it's 50-day moving average, it's 200. Is it on the higher end of its 20-day range? How about its 10-day range? Does it have earnings growth? Does it have some other fundamental debt ratio issues? So all those things come together in real time to give us a score. So we're taking strong stocks with an 80 minimum score, and we're saying short float minimum 10%. And then when we sort this thing, we get all the really big, interesting ones near the top. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through and we'll set some alerts. And then we're also going to go through the revenue growth. I think we're going to find about a dozen interesting items here. So we're going to start by taking my price alerts, Zendesk. I also gave Luis that one. Doesn't look like Luis is here today, but he was with me yesterday in our one-on-one. We're going to clear these out, start fresh, and then I'll share these in cloud form at the end. So when they go through, we'll all have the same alerts together. I might go through some of these quickly, but I'm going to try and stop when something catches my eye, as we just kind of looked at in that. Yes, we're going to go through that scan right now, George, and I'm going to share it. And we're going to look for things that were looking like we saw in those chapters. You could make a case for that, but I'm going to pass. There's other things that look interesting. Not going to chase, not going to chase. Okay, this is looking interesting. This is looking like that wedge pattern possibility. Okay, we got a beautiful tail yesterday. Let's take today's candle out of it. And there's kind of that wedge pattern with a really nice counter move, a little head fake. So I'm going to go ahead and put in maybe some follow through on the highs of today. And more importantly, I'm going to say this may just be a day trade because it had a little bit of movement today. We might be pushing it off of that third candle. So we'll call that a day trade. Was that? Yeah, that was run. That was solar play. Okay, that one bounced out, not going to chase. Not seeing too much there. That would have been nice, possibly yesterday. Still forming. Okay, this is a really nice looking wedge. I like this one a lot. And again, we're just going to say we're looking at this wedge right here. And so we're going to give ourselves a confirmation. And again, if we do get a confirmation, I'm going to go back to yesterday's highs, not today. I'm going to use these highs yesterday. Nope, I want to use that high right. I was one day off. Let me use that high right there. And I think it's important, again, if these things trigger, to watch for relative volume, see if there's some good relative volume behind them. Oh, this one's pretty darn good too. There's our 3-day reversal, came back and tapped on the 10-day moving average. Price like that, finished in a perfect doji today. We're going to put a high right above today's high. Follow through. What else we got? Oh, this was a possible. Well, we've already marked up run.
Yeah.
Run and VSLR are the same company, so we'll leave those be. And we'll just play with run. Because why are we going to play with run? Because run is higher up on the list. Run has 20% short the float, where VSLR only has 14%. So that's an easy choice between those two. Not bad either, but I'm going to pass on that one. I'd like to see a tighter range than that's giving us. Well, this one's kind of interesting. It might, that's a triple top right there. We're going to go ahead and just throw that one. We can't pass on them all. Got to throw some in here. Not going to chase that mess, but that's probably a short squeeze. That's pretty messy as well. We're getting down into the 12% short the float. This thing broke out and closed above. I'll give this one a follow through shout. See if that one does, and we'll also call that a day trade because it might run out of steam. All right. And as we get to the bottom of the barrel here, we might start to just move on to the next one. That's not bad. You can see that CZR had a nice push yesterday and today. Would have been nice to catch that one yesterday off of yesterday's highs. It would have been nice to either swing it yesterday or trade it today. And that's it. Okay, so we got a few off the A table. So again, coming off the eBook, that's kind of what I'm looking for every day. That's the workflow I go through. Step one is to find something I like. Step two is to set the alert and let me know in real time when we like it. Well, here's our revenue growth, APT. I think we all agree. We've talked about that one. Well, this one's not bad, but gosh, boy, look at that 200-day moving average. It sure does not like that 200-day moving average. And this 20 is coming down below. I don't know. The 10 period's coiling it. It's holding it. Let's give it a chance. How much revenue growth does it have? 1,000%. We'll give it a chance. We'll give that one a chance. And we didn't set that correctly, so we'll come up here and adjust it, and we'll call it that.
Go back to that app real quick. I'm just going to show you guys what I've noticed.
Ooh, you reminded me of something. Yeah, let's go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, when it seems like about 6 weeks is a magic touch. These things will base for about 6 weeks. I found some really good ones. A lot of times, like that one that and I probably would have marked up that VIR as well, but I could see that doing a few head fakes, coming down, basing for another couple of weeks. It seems like the longer, and it's been almost a month, but still, okay. It seems like I've noticed the sweet spot is 6 weeks to 2 months. When they base for that long, and then you finally get a breakout, man.
So this one might be a little undercooked on the basing pattern, is what you're saying.
It might. It may, like you said, it may run into that 20 and back up a little bit. And it's right. Another one that I'm in right now is that it should be on the list. No, I think it fell off today. Is Cure, that QURE. I keep getting head faked in there. Try Q. It may be in there, but you can see it's been basing for a very long time. But look at all the little head fakes you can get on these things. So.
You know what you reminded me? I'm so glad you reminded me too, because I really did want to hit this point. So Andy's been saying, yeah, APT. I'm like, yeah, APT. Oh, what have we got? Roofing, siding, and insulated. Well, today I decided to just go, what do these guys do really? I mean, why are they so beaten up? I thought the XHBs, the home builders, right? I thought they were strong. The Home Depots and the Lowe's. What's the deal with them? Then I saw something that was kind of interesting. And this is, gosh, type, Steve. This is the reason I want to remind you guys that we have this wonderful single stock window, detail, news, profile, similar. I haven't even gone to similar yet. Didn't even know if there's anything in there to talk about, but here's what I want to talk about. I went to profile. Turns out I learned something about APT. APT not only makes durable goods, lumber, and other materials and siding, they make disposable protective apparel, infection control, booties, the kind of stuff that people are wearing in hospitals, the PPE, that's the word, the operative. I had no idea. They are a dual company. They, together with its subsidiaries, engage in manufacturing disposable protective apparel and infection control. Well, that just made it a little bit more interesting, but again, the story has to always be confirmed by the chart, and the chart is in fact confirming the story. They are preparing N95 masks. Thank you, Ron. That's good to know. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know that, and it was after I bought the stock that I got into that. So interesting little tidbit. But the point is, I wanted to show you guys this is a very interesting tool sometimes to find similar companies. I'm not going to spend any time here. We got stuff to get to, but that similar tab, there's interesting stuff in there. If you like the way this one looks, there might be something else in there that is the same. They make masks and hospital stuff. That's why I did the options, says George, because that mask might be more important than the vaccinations and the siding. I think those masks might be more interesting than the wood siding, vinyl siding right now. All right, so what we were doing is we were going down the line to continue maybe setting some ideas off of the Let's Go Fishing of revenue growth fishing, excuse me. anything looks interesting. See if we can find some bird in the hand type stuff that looked as good as APT. That glue looks pretty interesting.
It does.
Real, but you know, here's another example, guys. Stocks have personalities. This thing was basing at the 200, and now the 200 is repelling it. I think it's safe to say the 200 is a big pivot. And that being said, I think if we can get a close, maybe above going back a few days, that might be worth looking. Mobile, interesting company. And what was their growth? Their revenue growth was 70% quarter over quarter.
And they got a good.
Let's go back. A good what?
A good cash and debt ratio as well. And so, yeah, that looks pretty solid. I don't see it on your single stock, but I have it on my single stock.
Let's do it right here. For everybody that doesn't know how to do that, we're going to configure. All right, I'm going to do the operative word cash to debt ratio, show column. There it is, cash to debt ratio. I now have that. And what I will do, I like to start on the Q's. I will just lock that in. It's very important to save the changes early and often. All right, so back to our possible list of ideas, looking for basing stocks. That's interesting, ACAD. Look at that, again, that 50-day moving average, it sure has something to say about it, doesn't it? Interesting, I'm gonna pass on that one. I'm looking for stuff that looks like AP. This is a good one, BNTX, what do? Biological product, diagnostic, manufacturing. They're probably something similar to APT. Let's go to the similar tab and see if APT is on there. I don't see APT.
Like a biotech, yeah.
Yeah. But nonetheless, here's what we'll do. We will remind ourselves it's a biotech above today's highs. Biotech caution, meaning biotechs are better for day trades. Better for day trades than swing trades sometimes. What else we got? A couple more. Ooh, this looks interesting. What is this? Electronic. Apparel.
Well, yeah, scroll back on your daily on that one. I think I saw a really wacky, let me see if that's the one. No, that's not too bad. That's not the one I'm thinking of.
Bad at all. It's bouncing off its 200-day. Really nice consolidation. Coming up on its 50-day. Let's do this. Let's put it just above a hair above the 50-day there.
I like that.
That prior high. And what's the growth? The revenue growth was 26%. Short float, 27%. Good short float in there. Don't forget that can come into play too. We can look at the short squeezes just as much on these as we can with the others. Vips, boy, it's a clothing store, huh?
It's a Chinese online.
I don't know.
Chart doesn't look bad, but yeah.
I'm gonna pass.
I got Neo. I don't want too many Chinese.
Yeah. We'll look at that in a second.
Trading up in after hours should
okay, we're gonna look at my holdings here in a second. This is interesting. LMND. What are they? Insurance agencies, nothing sexy. Let's just call it enough on that. So here we go. Yeah, chopsticks. All right, so let's grab these before I forget. We're gonna take the price alerts. So we got a good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. And I'm going to give you the working code on these. Share 9, copy. And let's drop this in the price alerts in the chat window. And we're going to end today.
Steve, before you move on, Mark was asking about news. Would you tell him what we do have, show him what we do have? Yeah, this is our news, Mark. It's just a Google News. Okay, we just go out and pull all the Google News. So it's not going to be anything like Benzinga or briefing.com, a paid service, but we take pride on our alerts being so much faster robots that read news reading robots. So we like to follow price action before news. But that being said, I know we're trying to work with maybe Benzinga or somebody like that to try to get something better for you. But that's what we have right now is gonna be it for now.
Yeah. All right, and somebody pointed out very astutely, there was 2 of them that were coded as shorts in there. I don't know why. I'll do it again. Resending. Thank you for that. Resending price alerts. All longs, no shorts. All right, so those are corrected for whoever wants those. Thank you, Dave, for that. Okay, so before we walk out here, last couple of weeks I've been talking about my personal swing account, what I'm in, what I'm out. There's always some nuggets of wisdom in there. first things first, the ones I got rid of, and I'm going to call this weeding the garden. You guys got to learn to weed the garden, get rid of the ones that are working, and also take profits when you need to. On Friday, we had that bad close in the S&P, scared the hell out of me, and I said, I need to take some profits in a few things that are running into resistance. JetBlue was one of them. We talked about that prior. And look, again, JetBlue was repelled by the 200 back here. There was no reason to think that it wasn't repelled by the 200. And I said, I had good profits from down here. Let's just take those off the table. I took some gold stuff off the table, adhering to my rules. Things that do not close strong. This AIG was probably the weakest thing I'd had. I gave it nothing. I sold it yesterday on the open. This close below bothered me yesterday. I got out. Weeding the garden, I'm happy I got out of that one. GDXJ, I had a pretty good chunk of this, and today's the second close, and you can see there's a sell tag there. I got out of GDXJ. Why? Second close below the 50. I don't like that. It could bounce back into play, and I'll gladly jump back in, but I'm not going to sit here and let myself get overwhelmed by the story that I think is out there, the bigger picture of gold and silver. I'm not going to let that, preclude me from, having a good set of technical eyeballs and having good risk management, basically practicing what I've been preaching, eating my own dog food. Okay, so those are the three I cut loose. Let's check in on some of the others. TGBs, you guys know I've been in forever. I thought, I could probably sell some up here, but I don't really want to get out, so I'm staying in, and woof, bounced off a big low yesterday. Yesterday was a big pullback, drawback in my account with all these silver stocks, but no harm, no foul at TGB. It's still in play. What I'm going to do for most of these stocks that are silver or gold related, I'm going to just try and play off the 50-day moving average, because if I look at GLD, SLV, both of them are below their 50. But some of these mining stocks are still above, so I'm going to try and play it that way. No reason to get out of that one. APT, we talked about that one. We saw my entry, we talked about that one. SVM, better do something today. It got a little green. It's bouncing off that 50-day. It really needs to bounce off that 50-day. I'm hoping it can. There's no reason to sell. This one's pretty crazy. Last we spoke, X was way down here. I said I was going to gamble and get back in because the SLX, the steel index, was taking off. Well, the steel index and X Steel has had a fun round trip for us. I'm still in the money barely, but that's no fun. But this is a bigger picture. I'm going to stay in this one. Not going to get out. LODE is a small micro cap silver name, both above its 20-day, way above its 50. No reason to get out that. Yes, and who mentioned George, GPL. Thank you for reminding me of that, George. The trade of the week had a subcategory this week. Let's talk about that real quickly. Aside from APT, special micro bonus cap idea. Silver stocks are in play. Buy GPL on Monday. Well, that might have been a bit irresponsible to not give a buy tag, so I'm going to try and rely on people to know that if a stock is gapping down hideously, you're on your just buy it, Mark or George who said that. I am also still in it. I'm going to key off of the 50-day moving average. Look at me, I'm underwater here. All right, there's my buy up there. If it closes below this rising 50, I might have to weed the garden some more. And lastly, but not least, I'm guilty as charged. I'm staying in silver. I got out of some other stuff, but I'm going to stay in the commodity. This thing can do crazy things overnight. If it posts one more day below the 50, then I might start thinning, we take half off. But I'm going to break my rules on that one. All right. Anything else you want to add, Andy, before I bring Scott in?
No, we covered it all.
Covered it all.
Good job.
Dry throat. All right, Scott. Thanks for you guys' questions. That's not what you want. Thanks for everybody. And let's bring in that and any announcements that Scott might have. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, there's a great ebook about earnings season that's available. Go ahead and grab that. Just go to tradeideas.com/earnings. You've got some cloud links that you can import into your layout. Grab that. It's free. Podcast, haven't had a new episode out in a few weeks, but we're going to have some out soon. We have released some really nice ones this year already, though. Some interviews by John McLaughlin. So just search for Trade Ideas Podcast and add it as a subscription, then you'll catch the next one when it comes out fresh. And do check out the archives. There's some good stuff in there. And the code, Fall Savings, save you 15% off the first month of your mini Trade Ideas subscription or upgrade. So if you feel like you want to upgrade from standard to premium and get the extra features, go ahead and grab that code, do that. And you can follow Steve on Twitter at Today Trader. We've also got at Trade Ideas Pros is us on Facebook. So share everything we post there with your friends. And info@tradeideas.com is the best place to send all your questions. It goes into our help desk software, gets routed to the appropriate team member to help you out. The recording of this session will be up later on tonight or tomorrow, and you get an email reminder tomorrow. So thanks, Steve and Andy. Thanks, everyone.
See you next time.
Thanks, everybody. I'll see you Thursday.